and being like, oh, were we being robbed? What's happening? Oh, by the way, real fast, Elvish, I hate to interrupt, but, hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. I am joined by Elvish Laddie, and we were just chatting as friends before I started, so, yeah. Go on. You can keep going, it's okay. The audience doesn't need to know the context. They're not cool.
It's funny because that's kind of the opposite of what's happened here with, like, house inspections and things like that. I think certain people have been, like, complained about when it comes to how loud they knock, and so they'll literally just be like, just the smallest, slightest taps, and that's it, and you can't hear anything. And then we're just like, we tell you, we can't hear you knock. So either knock louder or, you know, phone us beforehand. And then they're just like, well, it's not my fault if you didn't hear us knocking.
I feel that, though. Like, I hate it when there's situations where it's like, well, technically this is true, but we're being an asshole about it. Like, essentially when it's like, oh, I showed up to, drop off your medicine, but, you know, you weren't here at the time, and I'm like, to fucking put it in the mailbox, or do something with the medicine, I don't fucking... It just feels like those situations where it, like, well, I could have used my brain thing and done this, like, the good way. Or, you know, I could have been a pompous dick, and guess which one we're doing? Reality. That's
most
life
people,
right there.
I think it's just pride with a lot of people. It's like, they know they're in the wrong, so they're just going to be ultimately defensive.
I mean, you're right, and, like, you know, I'm not immune to pride. I really strive to not be a prideful person. Like, in the past, I've even talked to you about, like, how when I'm in a situation, I like to assume that I'm the dumbest one in the situation. That way, I take what they're saying to be a little more important to what I'm thinking. I feel like leads to, I guess just being able to accept the fact that you're wrong a little better and being just ever so slightly more kind and considerate of other people.
Well, I was going to say, it kind of opens yourself up more to, I think, being more respectful and tolerant for others. Because instead of just thinking, oh, you know, I'm very important, I have important things to say, it's like, you know, I'm fallible. I can act like an idiot sometimes. I won't always say the right things, etc., etc. And I think people who are aware of that can be way more just humble about things than the average person.
I agree with you. The one criticism I sometimes see people say is, oh, if you act like that, people will just walk all over you. To which my response is, bitch, let them try. I am very good at not letting myself get walked on. I will always be like, hey! Like once, I was a kid, and I would, like, draw. And Skylar once told me, I have no need of your drawings anymore, Kneale. Chris is a real artist. And I looked him in the eyes on our school bus and said, shut the fuck up, I made this for you.
Wow.
Yeah, I can be a little defensive of myself if I need be. I'm important, too. Oh God, stop wiggling. Stop wiggling. I just want you on this hook. There you go. Now you can just die there while I go find your friends. Sounds like they're nearby.
Which killer are you playing as?
Ah, Ghostface. He's my favorite.
Ah, very nice.
Out of all of the characters in the game, he's my favorite. He has the movies I think are the best. And he's like, by far, he's my favorite slasher movie character, so.
I need to watch Scream again, because I remember watching, like, bits of that ages ago when I was younger, and I remember loving it. Like, I have very good memories of that first film.
I think Scream is very good. I really like Scream. I have an uncommon opinion, which is, I think, Scream 4, which is the one that everyone's like, that one's the bad one. I think that one's the best one by far. Like, essentially, like, the whole thing with the Scream movies is, oh, we go meta. We're meta, and the killer's motives are kind of meta, and we just go all the way with this shit. Scream 4, by far, is the most. It is very creative in how they justify, like, the killings and such. I can't really talk about it without spoiling the movie, which I'm not going to do, but it's very good.
I remember one of the things I really enjoyed about, like, the concept of the first film overall, though, is that it was a film done primarily to satirize the horror genre. And I think if you're looking to do that, and you get some really clever minds involved, that can just be so well done.
And somewhere like around the way, they kind of reinvented the genre.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, if you start with, like, we're gonna make fun of this thing we love, and just keep sticking to the fact, like, no, but we do love this thing, you can make some really cool shit.
Oh yeah. It's why I'm such a big fan of that musical episode from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because it does exactly that. And even, like, one of the parts that's brilliant is after the first big group number, where they're pretty much asking each other, you know, the question that's asked, last night, did anybody burst into song? And they're just like, we thought it was just us. That explains the mariachi dancers and the weird room service chaps that I was having to deal with. And after their full, like, number, one of them says, well, is it just us? I mean, if it's just us, that could probably mean it's a spell. And then it cuts to Buffy, like, opening the door of the shop, and when she looks out, it's a close-up of this guy, and then it zooms out, and he's holding these clothes from a dry cleaner, and he just goes, they got the mustard out! They got the mustard out! And, like, all these other people are just dancing and singing and flipping in the streets. And Buffy goes back inside and says, it's not just us. And I love that. It's so good.
Buffy, how cliche of you to assume. Maybe that man was just very excited.
And the rest of the people involved.
Have you never wanted to get behind somebody when they're really excited about something? I have went and seen movies I've never had any desire to see ever, just because one person was like, hey, I really like this franchise. And I've been like, you know what? I'll spend $20 today, sure. Why not? I wasn't planning on it, but you like the thing.
Well, I think that's one of the things I love about, like, that musical episode is how they can do things like that where it's, like, super satirical, but then they can do other moments where, like, these two characters are talking to each other and they're both girlfriends, and one of them says, those boys over there are totally checking you out. And she looks and says, wait, what? And she turns back and says, "Oh my god, I'm cured! I want the boys!" And she, like, grabs onto her and is just like, yeah, I'm not that big on letting you go. And she says, were they really doing that? And she says, you can't imagine what they see in you. And she says, I know what they see in me. They see you. And it starts this beautiful moment where she pretty much says, I lived my life in shadow, never the sun on my face. It didn't seem so sad though, I figured that was my place. Now I'm bathed in light, something just isn't right. I'm under your spell, how else could it be that anyone could notice me? It's magic, I can tell, how you've set me free, brought me out so easily. And it's this beautiful love song between the two that's just so wonderfully done. But it also has a double meaning, because at the end of the last episode, one of them used magic to make the other forget about a situation so that they wouldn't have a fight anymore about it. So when she sings, I'm under your spell, we know that she is under her spell, a spell of making her forget. And later on, she realizes this. And when she finds out what happened, she just goes, I'm under your spell. God, how can this be? Playing with my memory. You know I've been through hell. Oh, don't you see? There'll be nothing left of me. And it's just, it's so good. It works on so many levels.
Yeah, I think musical episodes get a bad because of stuff like Riverdale and, Supergirl did a musical episode and it was, like, really, really trying to play homage like the original musicals. And what it ended up doing was borderline satirizing and ruining them. And, you gotta admire a good attempt, but, you also sometimes just gotta sit there and be like, hey, why do I know this is bad when the people who were paid to make it good don't? I don't think I get that.
I think ones like Riverdale, because when I saw, bits and pieces of that, and when I saw how essentially the concept of it was literally just them singing about being in a musical, and that's all there is to it. It's not about the characters, it's not about anything like that, it's just them singing about being part of a musical. Which is if you're going to do a musical episode, there's a reason why Buffy the Vampire Slayers, in particular, is considered one of the absolute best, because not only is it fantastic musically, but every single part of it also, one, satirizes musicals in a really well-constructed way, but it also leapfrogs off the main characters, which, if you're going to do any kind of, one-of-a-kind episode, one of the biggest things that you need to do is make sure that your characters are still the focus. And I think certain shows definitely achieve that, and while others don't, unfortunately.
I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think the big problem with Riverdale is, and maybe this would have helped them, maybe it wouldn't have, Riverdale didn't write their own songs and do their own musical. Riverdale did a cover of a different musical. They did Carrie the musical, then they did Heathers, both musicals I've actually referenced during our streams, which are really good musicals, but the issue is, what you just said, it's just the whole plot is about, we're doing a musical. But with their second one, it wasn't even that. We're just going to do the plot of a normal episode, and also we're singing now. And it did not work out for them.
Wow.
I would argue the better, because at least that one has like a twist at the end. Well, at the end, they like reveal that like a not really a character, but was, you know, we knew her. We knew who she was. We knew her name. I recognized her just by the side of her. We learn that she is straight up dead. Like, they go to start the play, and then right in the middle of their set, this person has been killed and slain and hung crucifix style in the middle of the stage. And that was like a cool little ending to the musical, because it was like, oh, well, we spent this whole day just having fun, having a good time. Oh shit, there's a serial killer now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that part was cool. I think the entirety of the rest of it was bad. And then in the sequel, it's like, no. Just plot of an episode, we're singing.
Yeah, I think it's always... That's one of the main things that I look at, is like, when I learned that The Walking Dead at some point was going to do a musical episode.
What? How?
I'm not kidding. The Walking Dead literally confirmed that, I don't know if they've done it yet, but they confirmed that they are in fact doing a musical episode at some point. And I thought, there are some shows where it's entirely possible for you to, with the structure of it, it's entirely possible for you to, in some way, do it. Like, you could do it, theoretically. But in a show like The Walking Dead, I don't think it's possible.
I mean,
for obvious reasons.
with Supernatural, it wasn't even actually a musical. It was just like, oh, they're putting on a supernatural play. Like, if memory serves, the only song that gets sung in that is Carry On My Wayward Son. And of course that one got sung. But, essentially it was just, oh, what if there was a musical being made about Sam and Dean, and while it was being made, people were dying, and they had to go, like, interact with people who were fans of them. And that was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. And with Supergirl, it was like, what if we trapped Supergirl and Flash in a different reality where they're trapped in their own minds and they're using the musicals to, like, express their feelings. Which, I guess that premise is fine. But with Walking Dead, you can't do any of that.
No.
What's the premise gonna be? Daryl got tired of killing zombies, took a bunch of shrooms, and now he thinks he's in a musical? That's all that makes sense to me. That's all that makes sense to me. I think your idea with Buffy, like what you were saying about like them being under a spell, I think that's fitting.
Yeah, and especially at the end when, like, this demon, this red demon who's just, like, very theatrical and everything, and he comes along and is just like, he thinks that Buffy's sister summoned him there because she's wearing a necklace that is, like, a charm of his. And at the end of the episode, it's actually revealed that it wasn't Buffy's sister, it was actually her good friend Xander. And he was just like, I didn't know what would happen. I thought people would just have songs and dances. And, like, the demon was going to make Buffy's sister his queen. And there's a brilliant moment where Xander just says, "Does this mean I have to be your queen?" And the demon goes, "Tempting, but I think that we'll let go of that wave just this once." And there's a great point in the final part where he's just like, "Rejoice, everybody, you beat the bad guy." And he's just like, "It's been a song. You guys have been real, swear. And not a one of you can say that this ended well. All those hearts laid open that must sting. Oh, I see. Once more with feeling. Now I gotta run. See you all in hell." And then he just transforms into like this swarm of light and just disappears. And it's just, it's great. It's like, even at the end, it's like, yeah, we got rid of the demon, but, I mean...
He just kind of left.
Things. Yeah. Especially since, like, the main reason Buffy was going after him in the first place was because she wanted to die. Like, she makes a point of how you can take me in place of my sister. And it's this really poignant moment of how Buffy is just like, you know, you've got to know that when you've bowed, you've left the crowd. And only by having the people allow you to go can you finally leave. Because earlier in the season, her friends were pretty much responsible for her more or less coming back from the dead, which is revealed in this episode to be something that she didn't really want. And it's not until this point where she reveals it to them. And so, not only did the musical episode have everything needed in terms of entertainment, but it also had everything needed in terms of actual character development as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, like, when you're writing a musical episode specifically, like, if you're writing a musical, people usually already know this. But when you're, like, taking a show that's, like, got its own formula, got its own style, it's its own thing, and then you're like, okay, let's completely change the format. One of the big problems that usually comes with doing shit like that is you have to figure out what you're sacrificing. Is it gonna be the plot and characters to make the songs really good? Or are you gonna, like, make the song numbers not focused on a ton and instead focus on the characters? And I think the issue when you have a show is it's like, nah, we'll just throw in some cool songs, you know, it's a gimmick episode. We'll just do a couple songs, make everybody smile with our music. It doesn't need to be that important. This is the song episode.
And it's done more for the gimmick of it, and the fact that, hey, musical episodes are all the rage, you know, so let's just do one. Instead of actually sitting and thinking, well, maybe we can actually figure out how to, you know, make this work for our characters, as well as just having it be a musical episode for the sake of being a musical episode.
Yeah, I think if I ever were to do a musical episode of anything, my first question would be, what does the setting of a musical bring to this? Like, what can I do through the setting of a musical that I can't do during the show? And I think the immediate episode is the reason that musicals are so attractive. The songs are really just ways to force, like, characters to talk about... God damn it, someone fucking threw a plank in my face. I'm still playing Dead by Daylight. It's a good way to, like, organically get characters to tell you how they feel. Like, Like, for example, you can't just say, I'm feeling sad about this situation that I am stuck in. But if you sing a song about it, the musical automatically, like, gives you an excuse to do that. So you get the right writing, and you can essentially have your characters tell stories they never could have told in ways they just can't in the normal formula.
Oh yeah, and one of the songs that actually works well in that regard is for the characters of Xander and Anya, and how they're planning to get married. And they're sort of having a conversation in bed, and then Anya sits up and she just says, this is the man that I plan to entangle, isn't he fine? My claim was to fame, my claim to fame was to maim and to mangle, vengeance was mine, but I'm out of the biz. The name I made I'll trade for his. The only trouble is I'll never tell. And the whole song is essentially about both of them very passive-aggressively, like, having a go at one another and just talking about how there's like lots of reasons why they probably shouldn't get married, but I'll never tell, is how they end every single verse. And it's this really clever thing of getting into the characters' heads and realizing they're kind of out of their depth when it comes to the idea of marriage to one another. And yeah, the musical format gives it a rare opportunity to get inside their heads that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Like, you can't just have characters say, this is how I feel, without a reason. Musicals, that's what you can do. That's a whole different ballpark right there. You can completely and utterly just be like, this is how, and here is the little song I'm gonna sing about how I feel.
I agree. I think it's musical episodes and dream episodes where you can do that the most. And Buffy, ironically, has both of those. It has the musical episode, and then at the end of season 4, it has a dream episode where we literally get to see our main group of characters and the dreams that they have. And it gives us a very rare look at their, like, the way they do things and the way they think about things, about one another. Even one of the coolest visuals is when Xander, for example, sees Buffy playing in a sand pit. And he's kind of, from the first season, kind of had a little bit of a crush on her. And there's a point where she calls him little brother in the dream. And he says, are you sure you're going to be alright in there? And she says, don't worry, I'm all I ever need. And the camera goes from her sitting in the sand to zooming up, and now instead of her just being in a sand pit, she's now stranded by herself in the middle of a desert. And it's this brilliant visual of Xander's essentially revealing through his dream that in many ways he understands that Buffy feels alone. That because she's the vampire slayer, she's alone in this vast desert, and he will never fully understand what that feels like. Good stuff.
I mean, it is good
once
stuff.
Again, can't recommend enough.
I agree. Like, everything you say about Buffy really gets me into the idea of the show. I also think that that with dreams, there are bad ways to do that shit too.
Oh yeah.
Like, when you're doing a dream episode, you can't really fuck around. You need to have some cool visuals, but you also need to, like, dig into the psyche of your characters and figure out what's going on with them. I think dream episodes sometimes also fall into the gimmick category. Like, no, this is the episode where we're going to be in one character's mind. And what I often find is dream episodes are used as an excuse. Like, you do a dream episode, and what ends up happening is when you're doing this dream, you'll like focus on a character that probably hasn't to do in the main story of this season, and you'll be like, here's where they get their story. Here's the excuse. See, we weren't ignoring this character. No, far from it. We're giving them a story right now. Why would we ignore the character? They're right here.
Well,
and that's like their one
cool
thing for the season.
Yeah, I think the cool thing in this regard is how, in like the Buffy musical, not the music, the Dream episode, one of the things I like is how, instead of it just being like, okay, we're just gonna have the character like in their dream, blah 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 blah, the episode itself is actually, I guess you could say, a consequence of what occurs in the penultimate episode of season 4. Because the penultimate episode is the one where it's like the big battle goes down. Like the big battle, the villain of the season, like you get a conclusion with that, and like Buffy and her friends, they literally combine all their strengths together to fight him. And like the final episode with the dreams, this is essentially the fallout from that episode. And it's not until the end where you realize that the being that's essentially attacking the characters in their dreams is actually the first vampire slayer.
Oh, so like
and she was
the first vampire slayer went bad or something?
No, she was literally a slayer from the caveman period, who was an innocent girl who was essentially like with black magic. She was made into the first vampire slayer, who would then create like countless more along the line. And in the final point of the episode, she's talking to Buffy, and she pretty much says how the Slayer is a killer. We kill for the hunt, that is what we do. And Buffy says, but I have friends. I have people that keep me going. And she just says, no friends. Always alone. And Buffy just reiterates countless times that she is her own person. And that even though she may be a vampire slayer and one of the only people in the world who can, like, destroy this ancient evil, it doesn't mean that she's just this nameless, formless figure. And she rattles off all the ways in which it makes her an individual. And at the end of the episode, she brings back control by simply saying, I'm waking up all. And she does. And she's able to wake herself and everyone else up, because she was able to state how much of an individual she was. So the Dream episode also ended up affirming like countless character aspects for everyone involved. So it proved that it wasn't just a gimmick after all, which is so cool.
Yeah, like, now, the thing with dream episodes that I think is so important, buff dude in this game, the thing with dream
David.
episodes that is so important is you kind of need to, like, look at all of your characters and, like, because, you know, we mentioned, like, a good situation where it's like, here's this character, like, dealing with some baggage from a past episode. And we've talked about how sometimes it's just like, no, I didn't get much to do during this season, so here's my dream episode. Here's where I'm important for one episode, and then I'm done. I think you really have to, like, pick and choose with the characters you give a dream episode to. Like, I think a good one would be, like, imagine if Seuss from Gravity Falls got a dream episode. Because, like,
Ooh.
like with Grunkle Stan, usually you get shit like, he'll share his feelings on the kids. And Mabel, of course, is always talking about who she is. But Seuss is always, like, active in the stuff, but he's usually quiet. So I feel like just giving him an episode where it's like, here's some more about Seuss. And they kind of did that with an episode where you learned that, like, his dad left his mom. He grew up with his grandma. And he sees Grunkle Stan as, like, a parent figure. Even though that's not a good parent figure, it's all he has, so it's great for him.
Yeah.
And I just love shit like that.
Such a, like, it reinforces, like, why he's such a kind and caring individual, especially when it comes to Dipper and Mabel.
Yeah, the dude got hurt. And now he doesn't want to hurt people.
Yeah. I think that's very important, like what you said, like choosing which character gets the dream episode. And I think in the case of Buffy, the fact that they chose Buffy, her friends Xander and Willow, and her mentor figure Giles. So the whole episode is 4 dreams, and each ad break, as it were, would be focused on each character's individual dream. And like even like Giles's dream, all throughout season 4, most of the season has been focused on him feeling unwanted or not needed. And in this case, like what you were saying before about, we didn't really do much with a character this season, let's have this be their defining moment. What they do with Giles in season 4 is very deliberate, because after season 3, Buffy in many ways comes into her own, and Giles says to her on multiple occasions, I don't really know if you need me anymore. And this is reinforced in the musical episode, where in his, like, when he's training Buffy, and he's just like, something like, wish I could slay your demons and lead you through this land. Wish I could play the father and take you by the hand. Wish I could stay here, but now I understand I'm just standing in the way. Yes, I'm just standing in the way. And it's just, once again, that's just such a cool little character moment that is just really, really, really well done. It's just, I know I go on about the show a lot, but I go on about it for a reason.
Yeah, and I remember you were, like, saying at one point that, like, his character doesn't die in the show.
Who's that?
Jowls, or the Guardian character, like, you know, the teacher.
Oh, Giles.
Or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised like that. I was like, this is a mentor character. They don't die? The fuck? Like, I almost felt cheated But, like, I think the more interesting story is with the idea that he is still alive, and maybe he feels like now he's not needed.
Yeah, and that's one of the things the show does really well, is that the writers understand that sometimes it's more interesting to not necessarily go with the trope or even subvert it, but go in a direction that may not have been entirely well trodden before. And that's the way Buffy tends to deal with a lot of its aspects, and it's something that I always really enjoyed in that regard. Also,
Well,
hi Sam!
Yeah, Sam says this is the most beautiful synopsis of Buffy she's ever heard.
I'm glad you think so, my dear.
Well, we got a true fan here, Sam. True fans can tell you exactly what's beautiful about what they love. Probably more than the creators can. Hey, hubby.
Yeah.
Hey, Elvish. How is your day going? Pretty good day, not gonna lie.
Ditto. Very nice day.
You see, I love playing, like what you were saying about maybe take a road that isn't well-traveled much. I've actually got in the back of my head, don't expect anything from this anytime soon, America, but I've always had this idea, more of like an idea of a TV show I want to do one day, just about like a bunch of like, I would say people who have just become adults and are all homeless, and they're all dealing with their own shit. And I think sort of like how Buffy can get a little supernatural, maybe the show... What do I mean a little? How Buffy can get supernatural, maybe the show can get a little supernatural here and there. And just play with the idea of genres in general. Like, I wanted to throw time travel in there, I wanted to throw in aliens, but I also wanted, like, to throw in fantasy. I wanted to do shit with like, cowboys and stuff. I essentially wanted to, like, do something with every single genre. But I was gonna do one episode called The Most Important Night Ever. And essentially, the inside joke of this episode is that it is literally the most important characters' lives, and they don't even realize it yet. The first episode would have a lot of, essentially, it would have a lot of plot reveals. It would have a big stake in the story. We'd reveal what's going on in it, so that people would be like, "Oh, this is the most whatever," and it would just focus on one of the characters. It would begin with all of them together in a shopping mart, like a Walmart, imagine that. And they all go their separate ways to go buy stuff, and at the very end, they'd all come back together, and some of them would be dirty, one would be like really, really flinching and acting weird, and essentially they'd all be like a little different from when we saw them the first time. And the main guy we'd be following would be like, "What happened?" And then in a joking sense, they'd all be like, "Oh, nothing," or say something that implies like it wasn't important. And then season 2, one of the episodes would be The Most Important Night of Our Lives Part 2, and then it would be revealed, oh shit, something happened in that episode that now what's going on this season. And now we know that this character, actually, the reason they were wet is because they killed somebody, and they had to, like, clean off the blood by jumping in a lake.
Oh, wow.
And shit like that. Just something where I'm like, here's a bunch of clues for you to just wonder, why was that character wet? Why was this one, you know, maybe acting a little hyper or something? And, like... I want it to be that situation where it's like each one of these parts is really focused on the characters themselves, but also they're their own little story. I hope to do something like that someday. Sam is expecting this in the next 5 years. Gotta wait till I can get Elvish around, because Elvish, of course, has to play one of the leads.
I was gonna say I'll do some of the voice acting. I'll assist with some of the writing as well.
Got it.
I love...
I'll write a talking dog into the script just for you. There wasn't gonna be a talking dog. Now there will be a talking dog.
I think that's cool. I think that's it kind of reminds me about something Joss Whedon said a while ago, where he said a genre is only as important as the characters within it. Because he said, I could have easily done a show about, like, a girl who kills vampires, and I could have just left it at that. Like, that's all it could have been. But he said, I wanted a series about a character growing up. And that is the main thing about Buffy as a series, is it focuses on the trials and tribulations of a character going from... Well, in the show they start out as a 16-year-old, and then at the end of the show they're 23, I believe. And so the whole series essentially chronicles 7 years of Buffy's life with the people around her. And I think the fact that they were like, you know what, let's add in the supernatural characters and things like that as a way of bringing in, like, the characters' neuroses and the characters' the detrimental nature that most people face when it comes to like growing up. And even at the end of season 1, when Buffy realizes, she's told, like, you will face the Master and you will die. And there's a point where Giles and Angel are just telling her, you know, this is something that only you can do. If it's going to help people, you can do this. And she just, at one point, she just says, I don't care. I don't care. I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And there's a point where she throws things at Giles and just says, go ahead, read me one of your books. Tell me my fortune. And then she ends it by saying, Giles, I'm 16 years old. I don't want to die. And it's this really, like, I just got goosebumps saying that. Because it's such a sad thing for a character to say, to just be like, I'm 16, I don't want to die. Which is so real and so good.
I feel you. There's a moment like that in... Lately I've been watching Doctor Who. There's a moment like that in Doctor Who where essentially Doctor Who has an option to kill somebody he thinks who's going to kill him. Like, he's given a prophecy. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to kill them. I'll find another way. The prophecy is... knock... You're going to hear 4 knocks. And you hear those 4 knocks, you're going to die. And he determines that, okay, well, the 4 knocks have to be drumming in this person's head. Like, because this guy is called the Master, and he's like, weirdly enough, 2 masters between these 2 shows. He's like, okay, well, it's got to be this guy. So he stops the villain, he finds his 3rd way, and he just lays on the ground. Friends, a character who he doesn't know super well, but this one episode has gotten a ton of development. And that's why it's important that that's the circumstance. They go into a room to stop a nuclear bomb from going off, but once they go in, they're locked in there. So, they stop the bomb, day is saved, and then it's time for him to be let out of the room. He knocks on the door 4 times and says to the Doctor, hey, you gotta let me out. Doctor Who recognizes the 4 knocks and goes, oh shit. He doesn't say oh shit, but he realizes it and he's like, elf. which is the name of the character, his name was Wilfred. Wilf, you just knocked on that door 4 times. You're the prophecy. And he, like, looks in the room, he, like, scans it with his sonic screwdriver. If I open that door, it will flood with radiation. And I will die. And Wilf is an old, very old. He even talked about how, like, he wished the doctor was his son earlier. So he was like, dude, I'm an old man. Just leave me. And at first he gets angry, and Doctor Who says, yeah, you are an old man. You're not remotely important. I could just leave you. Like, I'm important. I could change the world. But then he's just sitting there, and he just, like, has this pity party in his head, and then he looks over at this guy he has so much respect for and says, Wilf, it would be my honor to die for you. And he goes in and does it. And I just love that moment. And someone's knocking on my door, so I gotta see what they want real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I am back.
Welcome back.
I kind of rushed all of that because someone was knocking on my door, but they have this conversation earlier in the episode where he's like, maybe people my race live too long. And Wilf's just like, look at all you've done. You're such a good person. I would be, like, honored if you were my son. And then later they're talking. And Wilf was a soldier, and he's like, yeah, no, I never killed anybody in the war. And the doctor says, hey, you've had this gun, right? Why didn't you shoot the master? And Wilf flies and says, well, I guess I was scared. The doctor just smiles and says, I would be proud. And Wilf goes, proud of what? And then he says, I would be proud if you were my dad.
Oh.
They're like, oh my god! Like, a lot of people actually have issue with the fact that he sacrificed himself. Episode got development. But that's who David Tennant's The Doctor was. Like, he cared about the smallest of people to the point that that's absolutely the biggest send-off you can give to that character. It's so is that, like, if he died saving the world, it almost feels like that's unnecessary. The fact that he was just like, I'm gonna give myself up for this one guy who's all important, is that was his character. Every life was important. Even if it wasn't important to, like, important to what he was doing or the world itself, it was still important. I especially like the line where he's like, Wilf figures out the doctor's age and that he's like 900. And Wilf goes, we must seem like insects to you. And the doctor just looks him in the eyes, you are giants to me.
That's cool.
Well, I kind of get what he was saying there, because, like, we do, like, as humans, he lives forever. A little amount of time. We don't have time machines. So everything we gotta do, one life, and so to a Time Lord, somebody like that, yeah, I do think that would be a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It sounds like I may need to give Doctor Who more of a chance than I initially did.
I'm currently on the Matt Smith Doctor Who, which is the guy after. Tennant, and he's pretty good. He's now David Tennant. Like, that's what I'm facing. Like, David Tennant, by far, is one of the best actors of our age. He nailed this character and gave it so much. Apparently, according to the legend of Doctor Who, every time he gets regenerated and his body changes, he's and he's still the same guy, but parts of his personality shift. Like, for example, with Matt Smith, he's more quirky. He's more, like, into solving problems. He just seems like a little more ditzy. With David Tennant, by far, his biggest trait was, I love humanity. I am obsessed with it. And that was so cool to watch. And with the other guy, I can't remember his name. His last name is, like, Ecclestein. We talked about him the other day.
Christopher Eccleston? Or something?
Yes, I do think you're right. I do think that's the name. Essentially, his thing seemed to be, like, his biggest trait was he loved to explore. Like, he loved to learn things he didn't know. He loved to get in, like, battles of wits. Tenet, though, it's all about the love. And I obsess. I could study that man's performance. Like,
well, I did see, like, the moment where he becomes the Doctor, and that always cracked me up when I saw that, and how this guy, this alien, is just like, who are you? I don't know! And I just always found that really, really charming.
Something else I like about David Tennant is you just kind of reminded me of it there. I don't think he was supposed to become the Doctor. I think they were gonna keep doing Christopher Ecclestein or Eccleston, Eccles, Eccl my peckle, whatever it was, Eccl with freckles. It was just going to be him, and then David Tennant, like, sort of came in. So they're very similar Doctors, but just because this is the kind of actor the man is, they're subtly different.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a point where, like, in Freckle Eccles' run, where his companion goes against him, and he's like, oh, you're just another stupid ape. And I kind of like that he got very upset with slightest infractions when he's enabling humans to go to see the bullshit humans can do. That adds up to me. And I lost completely that round. But I vomited on everyone, which is cool.
Laid the vommy mommy.
Sam actually disagrees with me on the Ninth Doctor. He's her favorite, and he's fascinated. Hold on. The Ninth Doctor is my favorite, and with as fascinated as he is with everything, he's like a caring, tired dad. I agree. It does kind of seem like he doesn't know what he's doing at times, though. Well, with David Tennant, it was like, oh, I'm a human, but I'm also, like, a smart human. I don't know. I could talk about Doctor Who for hours. And Sam would apparently like that, because Sam says, Sam's our only commenter right now, that she's just enjoying listening to us talk.
I saw that.
Ecclestein only got one season because he and the show... Yes, they had extreme differences from what I've read. Which is how it goes sometimes. Like, you know, honestly, I think that a lot of people would be like, boo, you should have stayed as the Doctor. But I think we also have to admire the fact that he was like, I don't like where the show was going, and he jumped out. I mean, I kind of wish other people would do that with certain projects, because then I wouldn't have to see characters I really love be ran through the mud. And plus, if he didn't leave... so, I'm okay with it. That being said,
yeah,
actor. Amazing actor.
Well, I think it's kind of like the people on The Walking Dead. Like, the fact that they signed, I think, a 7-ish season contract at the time. And so they essentially weren't in any real position, especially after what happened with like Frank Darabont and whatnot. They weren't in a lot of positions that would have allowed them to actually be like, oh, I'm pulling back from being part of this show because, you know, one of my dear friends, he's not working on it anymore. And most of the cast, like, are very well known for not liking the treatment of Darabont, but because they'd already signed the contract, they didn't really have a way out of it. Until some of them got a little bit lippy about the whole situation, and were very prematurely killed off the show, way before they were meant to be killed off. And many people have sort of just been like, yeah, I think we can see what happened here.
I mean, to be fair, you're not supposed to, like, I remember there being, like, I can't even remember which movie it is, but I think it was Tom Hardy, actually. Right as Venom was coming out, he was like, oh, they cut so much stuff that I loved out of this movie. They thought it was a Jared Leto Joker's, like, situation. And then Venom made and then he was like, oh, no, the only thing that got cut out was a couple jokes I really liked.
Yep.
Like, he was trying to cover his own ass a little bit, get the fans on it.
It's always funny when things like that occur, in some capacity, because, like, especially when you see, like, any film relating to the actors, like, whoever they may be, and it's almost as though they're like, okay, I have a feeling maybe this film isn't going to do too well, so I'm going to seem like the good guy by saying, you know, I don't really agree with a lot of the directions that this was taken. It's like, and like you said, the film, like, relatively made quite a bit of money. So his thing of, like, they cut so much stuff wasn't really relevant anymore now, was it?
I mean, to be fair, saying they cut stuff is then the perfect argument, because let's say the movie bombed, he could have been like, oh, the movie could have been great. But let's say what happened. He can just be like, oh, here's what got cut, but it's still a good movie. Cool. He's a man that...
Well, in the bigger picture, you can see the personality differences with how far removed they are from, I think it's the 8th Doctor.
I have only... so I wouldn't actually know. However, I have been strongly recommended that I need to learn about the 7th Doctor, who is the one that has an umbrella with a question mark on it, which immediately, as soon as I heard that shit, I was like, wait, what? Dude, I want to be a part of that. Oh, I might be phrasing this. Imagine the Riddler's cane, but an umbrella. It's not just an umbrella with a question mark on it. It's like the handle is shaped like a question mark, and it looks awesome. He's even got a little... Like he's like a high school teacher who's really excited about his job. It's a whole thing. I want to be a part of this, man.
I like that.
I mean, I just love how quirky it is. It's so cool. The Eighth Doctor is the War Doctor, I think. I've heard he's important in the movie that's gonna be coming up for me here soon. I'm almost done with Matt Smith's season 1, so it's only a matter of time before I get to meet the War Doctor. Yeah. Doctor Who's weird, man. It's pretty good, but it's weird.
I can tell.
Eighth Doctor movie. Oh. Wait, so they like just went from 7 to 9? That's kind of genius from the right point of view. Just like, we'll leave this one character over here who's got like his own story to tell. And he'll be discovered later.
I think the main reason why I never had like Doctor Who when I was younger is because my mum was very much a person who was like, I enjoy the original Doctor Who, therefore I'm not going to watch any of the later Doctor Who. And she's exactly the same with Star Wars, funnily enough. She's very much where she's like, I love the original trilogy, and I don't have any desire to watch anything past that point.
I feel that. Like, to each their own, most definitely. Like, honestly, I don't regret seeing what I've seen in the trilogy, but, like, not everyone's gonna feel that way, so... You know, like, it goes back to that video I made about Marvel fatigue, where, like, a friend of mine made a video where he was like, if they just keep making Marvel movies, it's gonna be Simpsons, and everybody's gonna get sick of it, and this thing we all loved will be ruined. And I sort of made a video where I was like, think of like this stopping point, this perfect ending with the last movie has a place to get off the train if you no longer wish to watch the movies. But if you want to keep writing, you can. I think that's a lot of a situation. Like, ooh, I guess you could do that literally every season if you wanted to. I don't know, Elvie. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just an...
I think it's just ultimately like where people decide, you know, this is what I want out of like my experiences with things. And it kind of reminds me of this one streamer I was watching where he was doing his first playthrough of Death Stranding. And I was really excited because I thought, ooh, Death Stranding first playthrough, that's really cool. And there was a point very within the first couple of hours where he was just like, I don't want them to give me this much story, I just want to play the game.
Uh-oh.
If you're that kind of person, this is not the game for you.
Oh yeah. Death Stranding specifically is one of those games where it's like, you better like the story, because if you don't, walking sim.
And I don't think I've seen him play it recently, which is kind of telling. Because the majority of stuff I've seen him play are things like Sea of Thieves and like multiplayer-based things. So not really anything that will that is going to stimulate a mind that isn't into like a single player experience, I guess.
Mortis is on my shoulder, just sniffing the shit out of my hair.
Aww.
I'm scared. I think he wants to eat me.
What else is new?
Well, he hasn't done it yet, so that's pretty new if you're asking me. At least I hope it's new. Wouldn't it be something if, like, the day I thought he was being abused and I brought him home, it was secretly like, I hide myself here for my dumb prey to take home. I look like I'm in distress, but really I am in waiting. Yeah, stay here and try to heal your friend. I'll get you too. You are not the focus of my attention. I'm taking this one. There's a hook right here.
Nobody else here. No one like me. I'm special.
Damn it, they
So
broke the
special.
hook. Fuckers. And now they're all going for the exit, and I'm stunned. They're gonna make it too. Fuck you guys, you're dicks. Yeah. Well, I hit everything now, Elvish. I hit everything. And Mortis is now biting my hair. Meaning he does want to eat me. He's still going for it. And I just have to keep playing the game.
Sam just said, you guys are adorable, made for each other.
Cat or me and Elvish?
I think it's us.
I'm just saying, the cat is literally eating me. Get the fuck off of me! He's just looking at me now like, what did I do? Why are you angry, father?
It's just like, why are you getting angry at me for having such a scrumptious morsel?
It's not my fault your fucking shampoo tastes like A1 sauce. Then I go into my bathtub and realize, oh wait, my shampoo is just like the finest of spices. And then it is my fault that Mortis wants to eat me. Oh, Sam said both. Yeah, me and Elvish, one day we're just gonna be like, you know, married but also have boyfriends and girlfriends. Both of us. Elvish will have bitches galore. One day you'll be a pimp, Elvish. And I look forward to that day. I'll be your first hoe.
Well,
yeah, well. Well. Sorry, I'm just throwing a couple mushrooms in my mouth. I got food when I went off screen. I saw it too. Straight air quotes. I didn't say I was this gay hoe. I can do straight stuff and still be a hoe.
Otherwise known as a go.
I would be like a Kneale version of a hoe. I'd be a no. And my whole tagline would, "This is the one time that no doesn't mean no." But seriously, ask consent. Well. And that would be my tagline. I just find with storytelling in general, just to go back to that, there are so many people who are like, oh, all of the good told. And of course, I'm just saying they're like, well, if all of the good stories have been told, don't you think we wouldn't be telling stories anymore? Like, exactly. We're always going to have tropes. Like, everyone's like, Hollywood's just going to hit every dead horse with a bat. But the truth is they're not. Hollywood has let franchises and shit die before because people don't care. Like, there's plenty of examples of just movies not getting made because there's no demand for it. It was pulling teeth to get a Deadpool movie made, and look at how that turned out. That became one of their biggest money-grabbing machines ever.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, chat, I'm going to be streaming pretty much non-stop tonight, just because WandaVision comes out at 3, so I'm staying up till 3. And I might end this stream here soon, just because I got food, so I got to eat that food. But we're starting another match.
You can still eat the food. You can just have a little just chatting ASMR food eating moment. That's what I do every now and again. I'm just like, you know what, guys, I've got food and I've got a lovely drink here, so you guys are just gonna have to listen to me gush about how good my food is for a few minutes before we start the game, okay?
I mean, I feel that. It's just a situation of, like, I would really hate it if I was like, I'm a pro streamer, and then one day someone was like, remember this time where...
Kneale. Honey.
This is where you say, you're not a pro at shit, shut up.
It's because you're too much of a pro at everything. You're a pro at being charming, you're a pro at storytelling, and you're a pro when it comes to the value of the people in your life. So, yeah.
So what if you can't please a... You can do literally everything else.
I mean, you please me by just being in the same voice chat.
This is where you reveal that you secretly are Elvicia and a woman.
I'll never tell. Oh, one of the things I also find that's useful is that when you stalk, or like you're just creeping around,
yeah,
you have no terror radius. So what I usually do is, as soon as I start the match, I just immediately go into stalk mode. Because it means that even though they might see me, they won't hear me coming.
Yeah, literally, like, anytime when I'm playing Ghostface, I just go in to stealth mode whenever I can, because another perk of that is if a character sees you, but you don't see them, it will still, like, affect your bar and start to take you out of stealth mode. And it's a very good telltale to be like, oh, well, I guess this entire time, like, essentially it will even give you, like, scratches. And so it will just be like, oh, I was just walking around, now I at least know someone is near me. And if they do disable mode, it tells you right... What the fuck is that noise?
What?
There's like a knocking on my wall. Mortis is just looking at the wall confused. And to get me to do, fucker. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I won't do it. Come on. What are you gonna do now? I'm inside of the wall. You can't get me if I'm inside of it. Come on.
You can't get me, K-Dots.
Make your choice. Make your choice, fucker. Come on. I'm right here. I can't see you. But I know you're there. Why would you leave? That's what I thought, bitch. Now you're going on a fucking hook. There's one over here. Oh yeah, wiggle. Wiggle. Try to get out. I want you to get off of my hook. Here, here, here. On you go, bitch. Now you just stay there and think about what you did, shithead. I'm gonna go get your fucking friends. I'm a nice guy to a degree, Elvish. They're gonna go try to save their friend. I'm not camping, but if I know where they're going, I'm not gonna let them just go there. Yep. I knew it. Yes, try to escape me. Damn it. Mort, you can't eat my hair right now. I don't even know why he's doing elvish help.
How can I help?
Let Mortis eat your hair.
Got no hair to eat.
Find hair. Go to the barber shop.
Then again, my mum did keep my hair after she cut it off.
My mom did that with baby teeth, but my mom wasn't a smart woman. So she would essentially just put them in a closet or somewhere, and then, like, time would pass. And those teeth would just fucking stay. Oh, someone's looking at me. Oh, there you are. Time would pass. You're trying to get me to walk away so someone else can get your buddy. I know what you're doing. I'm watching both of you. Oh, you're gonna go try to get your buddy. Look out for you. She would essentially just keep him, but then, like, once she put him on a table and the cat knocked him on the floor, and every couple of weeks, we would just see a new location for the baby teeth. And we weren't allowed to throw them away.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was a situation. Yeah, nice try, fucker. I'm shoving a hook down your throat.
Kinky.
I mean, there are kinkier spots to shove a hook. Like... Well, guys, I didn't even have a chance to leave. Yeah, you're going back on the hook. I didn't even have a chance to leave. You did this to you. Blame your teammates, Jesus. Oh shit, I'm stuck. Oh hey! Yeah, this is what they wanted. They wanted me to go for her, that way the other one was safe. I gave in to temptation. Yeah, you want to play Ring Around the Rosie? Now your stock gauge is up. And look, now your table's gone. Now I'm gonna kill your dad. But I'm gonna start with you. You're your own dad.
I mean, that happens in that German Netflix series I watched a while back. At one point it turns out that one of the main characters is basically his own great-great-great-grandfather.
I mean, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm going over this wall. Oh, God, we're playing Ring Around the Rosie again, aren't we? Fuck you. Man. Oh, you with me. Now you're running. I just wanted a friend. Now I have depression. And he's not a friend. Honestly, he's kind of a dick. And they opened the door, you're running to... This is a whole situation for me. Alright. I can't stop you from leaving, but yeah. I just wanted hugs. I'm going down the rabbit hole of how much I love 9, except spam. What? You didn't comment to anything, Sam. Yeah, no, I know she's talking about Doctor Who, but she was saying I'm going down the rabbit hole, and she didn't comment anything about, like, why she loves him or anything?
Yet.
Oh, we're gonna get, like, a 12-page book about why she loves Doctor Who. That's actually a small book, now that I'm thinking about it.
12-page book.
Well, to be fair, let's say you were writing to, like, a text message. You just handed someone 12 pages of written word. That's a lot. I don't know, man. I don't know. I like the Ninth Doctor a lot. I think his time... If he would have gotten more to do, there could be some more Kneale love going his way. Actually, I think we're gonna end the stream here. Just for a good 10 minutes or so, because I also want to switch games. So, we're gonna end the stream, and I'm gonna eat food. And then, when we come back, we'll be playing... What should I be playing? We'll do... South Park or... Elvis, you want to do Overwatch?
Sure.
Alright, so in about 10 or 20 minutes, we'll be doing Overwatch. So, I'll see you guys then. Bye, Sam.
Cool, yeah.
You're the only one here. Oh, also, I was joined by the awesome Elvis. Go to his Twitch channel.